Lou Thesz faithfully defended his world heavyweight championship.
Rogers Strut.
Kowalski's got him right where he wants him.
Dory Funk Jr. wanting that world heavyweight championship.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Simon Felder's Dusty Rhodes has just become the world heavyweight wrestling champion.
Presenting the greatest organization in wrestling history.
We always deliver on our promises at the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, was pretty hard, and look at what are you gonna work now? Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Jeff Jarrett's NWA, Billy Court, somebody's NWA, Danhausen's NWA. We are here for Down But Not Out. We had a pretty poor show the last episode, unfortunately. We actually lost popularity. Before we go into it, there's a few things I do want to look at. First is finances. Okay, so we're netting some money, which is good, because we're going to burn through that really soon. We have to go into our production window and look at what exactly is going on with our actual production, because we seem to be losing a lot of points for it. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. Yeah, we're all for our down. It seems that everybody has moved up. White is at our level, green is below our level, and red is above. So I'm trying to remember the specifics. We had talked about it, and I believe, yeah, the penalty would range for 3% for being one level less, up to 7% for both live and so falling below a rival's levels at any of the four areas will get you penalized per show. Penalties applied to your final show grade for looking worse than comparison. The greater disparity, the greater the penalty. So for both production values and broadcast, the range would go from 3% up to 7% for being 3 or more levels worse from any one. So just one person being better makes us all look worse. For live events, it's the range is 2 for 6, and then the total penalty will never exceed 10% of your final show grade. So right now we are getting easily a 10% negative here, right? Because it's 3%, 2, right? So we're like right there. What would it cost us to move up to Majestic Production? It's going to cost us $15,000 a month, $10,000 per show. I don't see us being able to do that. I say that because our production already is per show $38,000. What is our ticket sales at? 37,000. Broadcast revenue is minimal. Sponsorship money's okay, but it fluxes around. Our merchandise is looking okay. This would cost a lot of money. But you know what? Here's the thing. We got almost $1 million in the bag. They're playing hardball with us. But if we can get up to regional in the next couple months, we are going to have leverage for a much better broadcasting contract, which is going to give us a lot more money. I think we can burn some of this money. So are we going to run in a negative? Yeah. Let's do it. We could go down to $0, and then we have to worry about where our finances are. We don't need to make a profit. We're just sitting on this capital. This is the time to use this. So let's go ahead and let's go wild. Oh my God, how much more money is that going to be? Oh, okay. Well, let's look at that. Well, let's move up to at least sitting on our rivals here. Can we get Majestic? Right now, we're showing better than everybody else. We are even with everybody else. Right now, we are getting a 3% penalty for not being majestic, the cost would be for majestic $75,000 per show. Absolutely not. Can we do that? There's no way in hell we can afford that cost. We can sit on this $10,000 per show and grumble a bit and be at a net negative, and we'll lose about $20,000 a month or something like that, right? We'll be fine. But I don't see a way to do that. So we're going to take a 3% hit versus a 10%, or a 3-point hit versus a 10-point hit on our total, right? Or was that percentage points? The 3% percentage points, not points. So I should clarify. So we're not losing like 10 points. It's not like we would be at 55, but we're going down to 45 because we lost 10 points. It's a percentage base, right? So we're going to lose like 1 point or something like that from there, from our base. I'm fine with that. I'm not cool with losing 10% of our total though. That's just unneededly cumbersome for us. So we're going to do that. It's going to cost us money. We'll see if maybe we can eke out a small profit with that pay-per-view. We don't know what we're going to make for pay-per-view tonight, but we're not going to play around with that. I'm not. We're gonna get here. That's the goal, right? So no playing around anymore. Not with that. We got a show. What happened in the last episode? Well, we had a bummer, a stinker of one. 45. I think it was our lowest rated. Yeah, it was our lowest rated one. We'd really rather be more at the 55 range. 49 is acceptable, but 45 was rough for us. But we had some stinkers of some matches and some bad things happening here. So, yeah, I mean, that was the bummer, right? It just is what it is. We'll have to work around it, but we got a pretty good stacked show. We're going to try to get everybody on here. I think everybody's relatively happy. Got some irritation with Pillman, but irritation with some people, but for the most part, we'll be okay. Yeah, we do have some irritations around here that we have to just work around with, but nothing that's insurmountable. No one's going to walk the show out tonight or anything like that. All right, let's go ahead and let's get on over to our pay-per-view. Down but not out. We are, of course, going to be in our Georgia Southeast location, but we cannot do our broadcasting station because we're going to be expecting about 2,700 fans here. So we're going to select the best venue. It's a generic venue that should be fine. So we're going to get a pretty good attendance here. That'll be very nice. We do have a backstage incident. Couple. See what is going on. Baseball get a locker room lift after providing a full crate of free drinks for everyone. And of course, we have Brian Cage and Mickie James brought before a wrestler's court, pick up his share of a rental car. So some positive impact there. We will again try to medal, and I think we'll try to continue to do Big Swole here. And see if we can find somebody. Warhorse, why not? No effect. Okay, not a big deal. Let's look at what I haven't looked recently. At 100%. So we do have some negatives here. Nothing crazy that we have to worry about. We have other things that we could always provide that we're not providing that could help boost this. Right now we do have a masseuse provided, no drugs or alcohol providing a negative effect. Hotels being organized and chiropractor are also providing a positive effect. And transport is organized. So we could also do catering, but it does cost a little bit. So we have to kind of be mindful of that. But right now with 100%, I don't think we have to worry about it. All right. We have some absent workers. Just for injuries. I don't remember how long they're going to be out. 4 months, 3 months. We might want to change Danhausen's because I think that's probably inaccurate. I don't know if we can do that in our editor. Well, can't do it now. I don't know if we can do it mid-game, but we can certainly take a look. Because that's going to be out for a bit. Samoa Joe also busted from that concussion. I think this was set to random, so we got kind of screwed there. But, you know, that is what it is. All right. Let's put on this pay-per-view. We got a lot of time. We're going to try to get every single person on the show, if not on the show, on the pre-show. We don't want to have anybody have a negative feeling. So, you know, there might be some rumbles, there might be some battle royals and stuff like that, just to get everybody on the show. But we're going to do it to have it happen. We also need... Oh no. We were stupid. Did we not? Oh, we never got a pay-per-view. It's too late now. Oh no. Well, we'll remember for next time. I thought we set up the fight. Oh, we're not gonna get any money for that. Well, that is a bummer. We're gonna get money for the show, but apparently we do not have a broadcast deal with anybody. I should have checked that before. I thought we set that up, but okay. Well, that's gonna be a problem. Not a huge problem, but that's definitely gonna hurt us when it comes to our finances. So we'll have to deal with that. We are gonna get a big boost from our Southeast, which is really what's important anyways. That's the area we're really focusing on, but that's certainly a bummer. That is a huge mistake that is going to cost us for this run here. We'll try to make it up somehow. Maybe we'll do another pay-per-view event special for people or something. Boy, that sucks. All right, let's go ahead and let's book it. Catch you guys on the flip. All right, guys, we are back with a weird pay-per-view. Try to get everything in. We're not on TV. It's definitely a transitional pay-per-view. It's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening later. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at it, starting with our pre-show matches. Get everybody on the card as much as we can. We have just a 5-way elimination match with a bunch of randos. Didn't have much reaction. Brian Cage ends up beating everybody. Not much to say about it. It's just a way to get everyone involved. I got nothing really here on this one. Just trying to keep people happy. Same, we didn't really have a storyline yet for Ezekiel Crowley, so we wanted to give him something to do so he doesn't get upset for the pay-per-view, but we didn't bring him in yet for a storyline. Last time we saw him, he kind of like disappeared. Disappeared a person just completely. So we're kind of working with that, and we didn't really have something to bring him back for any particular reason yet. So make sure he's happy that he's on the card. We have a very short match, just a squash match to keep his momentum up, keep people thinking about him. He quickly kills Dickie Mayer, and afterwards he eyes James Storm menacingly. So we can have a story with him, or as we kind of build him into the story, have something to do with him, either like as a short one-off or something like that. James Storm is basically coming to the ring in another pre-show match, and the two cross paths, and he's got like a sinister look, like a "you're next" kind of thing. And then we have James Storm and Nick Aldis versus Big Rig Cooper and Matt Cross. James Storm and Nick Aldis beat Levi, Big Rig Cooper, and Matt Cross. James Storm pins Matt Cross. So again, just giving these guys something to do. And for the remaining women that were not on the card, we have a big old just battle royal. Allow Athena to win, to look dominant as we set her up for the next sort of hurdle. And make sure there's no personality issues for people that we just didn't really have a feud that made sense to put them on the card. So we start the show off, as Jeff Jarrett said, you'll be back in AEW, or back in AEW, back in NWA, but you're going to be at the very bottom of the card. And so he was to start the show against a jobber. And Pillman defeats him in 5 minutes with a tornado DDT. It's gets the show off to a strong start. It's a good performance, but again, it's not where Pillman wants to be. So he got his signing back, just as it was said. He will be at the bottom of the card. And he has words about that. He gets on the mic and says, I just want to compete. I don't know. I'm humbled. I know. I understand that second chances are hard, but I just want to compete and prove that I'm still a threat, still a challenge. I still have it in me. And he wants to prove it to himself, wants to fight somebody worthy, that kind of thing. And it's kind of more of a humbling kind. It sounds egotistical, and he certainly has that edge. Of course, we're going to just go ahead and turn him babyface. It didn't go particularly well. People aren't buying it, but we are trying to sell it. But we have someone that does not have a match that did hear this. And Pentagon Jr. comes out to accept the challenge. So presumably next week, he will face Pentagon Jr. as Pillman tries to climb back up the ladder. He has a hell of a match that he's going to have to face as in terms of an opponent here. This goes pretty well, even though that reaction to his face turn did not go very well. We have Thunder Rosa versus Deonna Purrazzo. We're going to use Deonna as much as we can for the short time that we have her, because she is now pregnant and going away for a month. So we have a match where Thunder Rosa defeats Deonna Purrazzo in 12 minutes, gets a win with a reverse DDT. It's a 48. It's not too bad. It was poorly placed. I think this was originally worked a crowd match. I scrambled everything around, and I probably screwed up all of that. What I realized is I need to do in the future is probably write what the match type was going in, because it ends up getting confusing for me, and ended up screwing stuff up like this, where I ended up having a work the crowd match that I forgot about as I moved the card around. Afterwards, we have a interesting vignette. It does pretty okay. It's a 40. It's not amazing. But we have Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, Big Damo, and Madman Fulton showing up. And we see a series of news clips in this vignette of riots, violence, cities in flame. The four figures are casted in a shadow against a dark brick wall. One comes forward. It's Eric Young. He talks while still being mostly obscured through the shadows. And he says, the world is crumbling down around us. As liars and cowards take the reins of power, there's a sickness in this world, a corrupting influence, a world fed by lies. Lies that say that order and harmony win the day. Grifters and thieves take control of what isn't theirs while they lie to the populace. Charlatan did that here as well. So be warned, because we are coming, and when we do, we will expose to the world, expose to the locker room, expose to the NWA, that those in charge, that order and harmony that they claim to bring, is just another form of control, an illusion, and it doesn't make the world safer. It doesn't make this company more prosperous or more sane. It only hides the truth that the only sanity is true chaos. So we have this sort of chaotic anarchist group where bring back sanity in some capacity. They seem to be wanting to target Jeff Jarrett, but overall just saying that, like, the structures you have in place are illusions and we're going to tear them down. They're not here yet, but clearly they're threatening to become a power in the NWA. Overall, everyone gets a great gimmick debut. Got the crowd hotter. And we have a short match with our champions who don't really have a challenger yet. Really shouldn't have made this a title match, but it is. Revenant defeat Gran Cosa de la Lucha in 12 minutes. in Samurai del Sol with the last chapter. Everyone looks pretty okay. Laredo Kid's actually the weak man out here. As so was Samurai del Sol as well, with 36s. Gets us a 47 for the match itself. We have Outlaw Inc. versus Sleaze and Breeze, and a match that doesn't really have a lot of heat here. It's decent, though. Outlaw Inc. defeats Sleaze and Breeze in 11 minutes. Kingston gets the pin on Zicky Dice, gives him a back fist to the future. These two were, again, poorly paced, and we got a penalty for that. And Zicky Dice actually sustained a fractured cheekbone. Apparently got hit so hard by that back fist that it broke his cheek. Another one of those things of we shuffle things around, and I think we end up screwing up the placement of some matches here and suffered for it. Yeah, good. Another one that went really poor. We're really suffering from some of these penalties here. It's Enzo and Cass versus the Acclaimed. We set it as a cool-down match by making it a comedy match, but apparently 11 minutes is too long for that. I didn't think so, but okay. So we got a penalty for that, but it was a match that just was trying to kind of cool it down. There's a lot of back and forth with Enzo and Max Caster playing it off kind of comedically to try to kind of just calm the crowd down. We had a big rough match for a bit. That part worked, but unfortunately the match itself apparently suffered immensely. It shouldn't have, because again, Max Caster had 56, Bowens had a 42, Big Cass had a 47. Everyone did really well, but that penalty apparently was enough to hurt us too much. But ultimately, Enzo and Cass do defeat the Acclaimed. Enzo gets the pin on Max Caster, and we kind of protect Big Cass and Anthony Bowens a little bit there. And will this be over? Probably not. We're probably going to see a further escalation, but we will see. We have the debut of Axel the Perfect Henning versus Leo Rush. He defeats Leo Rush in a pretty okay match. Again, we're seeing major penalties here where these matches are not scoring where they should have. This should have been really a 50. Got a 47. Got the crowd back. Got a little bit hotter. And Axel gets a pretty good win. Ends up getting a pinfall with a McGillicudder on Leo Rush. And a good, solid debut. And then next up, we have a match, a number one contendership ladder match for the tag team titles, because obviously Revenant are already fighting tonight. So we have our remaining tag members who qualified, but one spot was open, and the Briscoes debut in the NWA to become a number one contender for number one contendership for the ladder match. This got a horrible segment rating. Oh man. Briscoe got an awful for his gimmick. We'll have to change that up for him. Jay got a good one for it. I don't know why the two got messed up. I think we set this to overness, and it was only like a 1 minute segment. They should have done fine, but apparently they just bombed. Yeah, I don't know there. Match itself here as well, kind of bombing. Like everything kind of just did a little bit worse than it should have. Cash and Dax did very well. Jay did really well. Mark did okay. Von Erichs in the match did pretty okay. Even Victor and Connor did okay, but we only ended up getting a 44 here. We end up advancing a storyline with them boys and top guys in the match. It's a ladder match. Ends up having all four men trying to compete for basically a contract for number one contendership. The Von Erichs end up defeating everybody and retrieved the item. And we find out afterwards the major reason why was Mark and Jay Briscoes end up clashing with FTR to have had words in the past on Twitter, and it ends up getting hot. They end up brawling out of the ring through to the concourse and end up leaving the match, leaving basically the Von Erichs and the Ascension, which allows them to pretty handily win their next shot at the titles. and they have a tough opponent because they have the Revenant, who have been dominant so far. But meanwhile, these two other, which we would probably consider superior teams, have basically eliminated themselves due to this feud, allowing Devon Erickson to get the win. I'm sure one of the reasons why that other match didn't do as well is we had to really protect Cash and Dax. They did not want this match to go the way it did, but we finagled it and we got it to work, and we probably suffered a little bit from it. But that's fine. That's wrestling. Another very poor segment. Tim Storm shows up. Joe Galli introduces him and says, hey, he's coming for the commentary for the next match because the son's in it. And Tim Storm just has some quick words about it just to kind of say that he's there. Afterwards, the match actually does okay. Tim Storm Jr. only has a 27, but Hero pretty much carries him through this match. Ends up defeating Tim Storm Jr. in 14 minutes with pinfall. Gives him a KO and gained some heat for Chris Hero's storyline here. Got the crowd hotter. They liked it. It wasn't a great match, but it didn't have... Well, actually, I said it was decent. So, it was okay. Really, Chris Hero pretty much carried it. Afterwards, Hero submits Storm Jr. and won't, kind of gets him back into an armbar, won't let him go, tries to dislocate his arm, but Tim Storm Sr. goes from the announce booth to square up with Hero. Tim Storm is retired, so, can't really do much, but apparently is trying to push Hero off there, and the two square up a bit. Tim Storm Jr. loses, and Hero kind of walks back a little bit from Tim Storm. The segment doesn't do very good, so that's unfortunate. We have a intro vignette for our women's match between Mickie James and Ramona Riot. And I want to do this vignette because I've realized that Mickie James, despite playing heel the entire time, has not been heel. So we're going to move her straight over. Ramona is clearly our babyface here, and I want to make sure we get any bonuses of having the two square off correctly. So the video is really just hammering home how much more of a heel Mickie James is, to just kind of cement that and produce credence for it. Afterwards, the match is pretty good. This is one of the best matches we had tonight. Mickie James actually defeats Ramona Riot with a pinfall using ropes for leverage. All the words from Ramona, all the words from Mickie. Mickie ends up becoming a double champion, becoming Knockouts champion and the NWA World's Women's Champion, which is a huge setback for Ramona Riot, but clearly this story is not done between the two of them, and we're probably going to continue this going forward. Ramona had the better in-ring performance, but Mickie James not too far behind. We got Johnny Power versus Ricky Starks for the next gen title. What happened here? 48, they both did really well. I don't know. But Johnny Power did defeat Ricky Starks in 14 minutes. Is able to get a pinfall with a quick cradle. So it kind of protects Ricky Starks a little bit. He just kind of outmaneuvers Starks. He's not expecting how fast Johnny Power is, how much he's able to kind of outpace Starks at points. And Starks just came in overconfident. Makes defense number 2 of the next gen title. Afterwards, Starks is kind of offered a hand to get pulled back up by John Morrison, and Ricky Starks rejects it, pushes him away, and storms off like a little child. Starks is not done here. He's upset. He views himself as the future at NWA, so this is a huge setback for him, and clearly he will not let this loss go easily. Will he challenge again? Will he go to something else? What will he do? We'll have to find out. This segment does fantastic, which the match itself did. And in our main event, Ace Austin versus Ron Killings had a very interesting end. When the match itself did very well. It had a 60, and it had great heat, good wrestling. Ace Austin and Ron Killings went to a draw because After 14 minutes, there was a double pinfall. Had a lot of interference. Eddie Kingston came out to target Ace Austin. Ziggy Dice helped distract Ron Killings, and Jarek ended up hitting Ace Austin accidentally. So we have a whole bunch of shenanigans that ended in a double pinfall. Afterwards, we find out about the aftermath of this, where, Kingston and Homicide came out to try to protect Ron Killings. Matthias Breeze, Jarek, and Ziggy kind of came out. Everyone's fighting out there. The ref ends up getting knocked out. Both competitors in the match end up getting knocked out. And then Kingston and Breeze, both struggling to gain their feet, end up running to grab the competitors, or both Austin and Killings, throwing them on top of each other, waking the ref up. But then both of the competitors who are just completely out of it end up rolling over with both of their shoulders against the mat and are able to be pinned at the same time. As the ref does it, realizes he's not sure who actually won, because both of their shoulders were on the mats, both of their arms draped over each other. Would lead to an inconclusive end, probably leading to a further feud between the two of them. Probably like a 2 out of 3 falls or a steel cage or something that we're going to build up to going forward from there. This did well. Did the show do well? I don't know. 57. I'll take that. We, of course, only increased popularity in our home region because I was stupid and I forgot to put a pay-per-view on. But we will tell everyone that they did great. Nobody really. So there were some people that were off their normal, but we don't really have to worry about it too much. I don't think we're gonna start to yell at people or anything like that. I'm gonna give Dax some speech there in case he's still upset. I think we were fine by the end of it, but just want to make sure and be careful with it. So we got our Zicky Dice injury. That is unfortunate, but he'll live. It's only 15 days. It's not too bad. Overall, pretty good show. Financially, cost us a lot of money. Ticket sales were good. Pay-per-view revenue would have been needed. So 31,000 in the hole is not great. Maybe we can make up for it from some media at the end of the month, but yeah, that's expensive. Very, very expensive, and that's something we're gonna have to deal with going forward. We do have to renew some of these contracts real quick. Oh, well, that I should have looked at that. We'll have to bring them back in. I thought we renewed them, but maybe that was during a test save. We do need to get our pay-per-view broadcaster before we forget. It's probably going to be Fight, and that's fine. New deal for events. We'll do like a 3-month. It's just going to be on demand. Afternoon, early evening. See what they will allow us to take. Early evening seems fine to me. Probably gonna be 55. Maybe 45? Oh boy. 40. Okay, that's fine. 3 months in, we'll do that. And we'll have to deal with bringing these guys back in tomorrow. We'll just re-sign them. I'll just have to remember to put our title back on Mickey James. But so overall, I mean, it ended up being an okay show. Still at 50. We'll have to see progress-wise where we shake after this, because we'll be able to see it on February. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have that pay-per-view money. I'm more concerned about our financials now looking at this, but I don't know if we can do much about it other than just spending some money and maybe if we get down to like 200,000, we'll pull the ripcord and decide to lower some of our production values. But we'll try to burn some of this money, try to use it to our advantage for building our size. But anyways, guys, thank you. That was a long episode. Thank you for joining me. I'll catch you next time for another episode of NWA